Okay, it's 2026, February 24th, 21st, and it's 9:19 p.m. and I just got back from the emergency room. Now, you're not gonna believe it, but what I have on my head is the official emergency room bandage. So I'd like to explain. I actually have a very healthy lifestyle, although apparently I'm a little bit accident prone. So I have a Bowflex Sport. Straw. And we were trying to fix the little seat. Now the little seat will slide back and forth. Okay, there's my expert rendition. This seat slides back and forth and it's broken. So I got the stuff to repair it with, and Dave was trying to help me repair it. So this will, this bar on the bottom will pivot up. Well, I didn't do this well. Okay. So it'll pivot up like this. See how I show it arcing up? And I initially drew it wrong, but anyway, the little things will be something like that. So I had pushed it up to help Dave, who was trying to work on this seat. And after a while, I got a little bit tired and I just shifted my position a little bit. But I always say to trainers, you need a training plan. For anything we do that could be risky, we need an execution plan. Now, I'm a very cautious person and I've worked in a lot of high risk things, but I didn't make an execution plan. I didn't tie this thing. This is so that you can sit here and hang your feet over and put your feet under. It's got little like handlebars there. You put your feet under them and you lift up and down, up and down. Well, first of all, if you know me, I don't need those exercises. My calves, when I was really fit and really trim, were 15 inches in diameter. And the guys would line up behind me at the gym and I could hear them sighing. Now, they didn't want me, they wanted my calves. So I don't need that exercise anyway. I should just take the freaking thing off the machine. Anyway, I got a little bit tired. And when I got a little bit tired, this set of bars here that I had rotated up no longer wanted to stay in the up position. And it crashed down on my head. And I put my hand up, and I kid you not, I put my thumb up like this to feel what had just happened. And I thought I felt a hole in my skull, like a hole at least as big as my thumb. And the blood was gushing out. So I grabbed a bunch of paper towels like this. And later on, they quizzed me, because I have a fair amount of training in this stuff. You might not know it. And I had it right here. And the nurses and the ambulance crew said, "Why are you holding it there to stop the bleeding?" I wasn't going to dare push on my skull with a hole in it. I'm going to try to stop the blood from going down my clothes. That's what I was trying to do. So I had the thing here and it was all drenched. I had blood all over my face and it was pretty crappy. Anyway, I jumped into my mode. If you know me, you know I'm used to working in high risk environments and you gotta move on things fast. So I grabbed my shoes without my socks. I had been barefoot and I realized I could, I was clear headed and everything, but I couldn't tell how much blood I was losing. I couldn't even see anything. Go figure. The actual fact is, I do not have eyes in the back of my head after all. All right. So I couldn't see what it was. I'm sitting there clutching like this. I run in to get my shoes and socks, but I'm afraid to bend down to put my socks on because I don't know how much blood I'm losing or anything like that. So I alert my husband. He didn't even realize what had happened. And we head off to the fire station. And the people were great at the fire station. They were great in the ambulance, except they didn't have any eyesight. They're looking at my head and they're going, "Where did you hurt yourself?" And I'm like, "God, there's a whole stream of blood. What's wrong with these people?" And they looked and they looked. I said, "Look, I've got a hole in my skull and it's about as big as my thumb and, excuse me, multi-purpose. Thank you." And the guy's like, "I only see a little 1/4 inch laceration." I'm thinking, get an eye check, buddy. You only think you're young. So I get in the ambulance. They can't even find anything. They said, "Well, the blood is well coagulated, la, la, la." Well, I don't know what's wrong with these people. My blood sugar went, I'm not blood sugar, my blood pressure went up astronomically high. But that was probably me and dopamine and all that stuff. So I get to the emergency room and they kind of wash things down. And I was so impressed with everybody, all the staff. Everybody was kind, patient, helpful. Anyway, the doctor comes in and he irrigates everything profusely so that he can see what's going on. And there's just a tiny laceration. And I said, "Are you sure?" Because it felt like I cracked my skull and it was dented in. He said, "Well, we'll take a CT scan to be sure." So they sent me up to CT scan and they took the CT scan. And the doctor came back 10, 15 minutes later and said they read the CT scan. No damage at all. No damage at all. I was ridiculously lucky because apparently when that leg lift mechanism fell down, the side of one of the little end pins that, keeps the little foam things on must have just grazed my head, slicing my skin, causing a lot of blood and some high blood pressure, but not actually causing a concussion. Nonetheless, I wanted to make sure it didn't get infected. So before I left the emergency room, they wrapped it, and this is the result. Now, I got to tell you, ugh, it's all blood in there. You can't see it. I have good hair. So it probably looked something more like this. But when you try to put a dressing on a volleyball, it's just not going to work. How do you like this thing going on? Okay, so I'm going to take this off in just a little bit. I don't want to start it bleeding again or anything like that. And this part was still on the critical thing, but this is way up. I look like a dang baker. Yeah, what do I cook up? Trouble. That's me. Okay, so one of the things, besides just, how when you have weird things happen, you just want to have a witness. Thank you for witnessing this with me. But the other thing is we do work in a high risk environment. And it's an environment we can't control. We can't control what another animal does, what a dog does. In my case, what a horse or an elephant or a goat, or even something that people don't realize can be very dangerous, a little otter. A little Northern American river otter can jump flat-footed and bite your dang armpit. And I've known of a person going into shock because of that. I myself got bitten by Emily at the National Zoo. I had been called to go get something harmful out of their exhibit. And I actually hadn't worked with Emily for a year or so, but I thought, because I was very fit and so on back then, I thought I would just flip over the wall, go get the thing out of her yard, and then flip back out. I wouldn't even have to unlock the gates. So I go in to do that. And sure enough, I see it was like a photo cube or something. I grab it, put it in my pocket, and I'm about to go out when Emily presents in front of me, like, "What are you doing in my house?" And I thought, she's not looking like she remembers me warmly. She remembers me irritatedly. I said, "I'm leaving." And I turned around. I didn't run because you don't want to do that with anybody, but not predators. And I'm going to just vault out. And I'm used to doing that. And I knew she was probably going to bite me, but she's just a little otter. It's not going to be a big deal. So I go to vault out, and Emily nails me on the back of my ankle, the Achilles heel. And I was expecting it and everything, but nonetheless, your body reacts automatically. And I was frozen in mid leap. And the visitors standing around are like, "Are you okay? Are you okay? Do you want us to pull you out?" I just needed a moment to get myself together, and then I finished vaulting out. But I had underestimated the importance of staying current with the animals if you're going to go in their areas. I'd underestimated the fact that it had been a year since I vaulted easily out of this exhibit, so I wasn't there right now. And another thing I underestimated is that otters had been exposed to a raccoon with rabies on the interim, so I ended up needing to get the rabies series also. So by not thinking clearly and carefully through a situation from beginning to end, I got into trouble. Most of the times I've gotten into trouble, it has been something like that. I didn't think things all the way through. I lived through it anyways. I'm here to make a fashion statement. But here's the problem. Half of the time, I didn't do anything to cause my problem. Somebody else broke into my apartment and was trying to strangle me. Somebody else dropped something and it hit me. Somebody else let an animal out and it bit me. So it makes it all the more important to plan carefully everything that you can. So I had a brother-in-law that used to say, figure out what the worst possible scenario is and see if you're willing to live with those results. And if not, you need to, plan how to get around that. When I worked with polar bears, if you got stuck in an exhibit with a polar bear, you were probably going to be killed by a polar bear. So we went through all these drills, but I also got these suspended ladders that I could put over the back of the polar bear exhibit so that we all had hope that the keeper, if caught in there, could climb up the ladder and get the heck out of that exhibit. So life can be risky. We have to do what we can to plan around the risk so that we don't have it. So what could I have done in this case? I could have tied the legs so that they wouldn't flop if I changed my position. Then Dave figured out we could take the thing off of the Bowflex and then fix the seat and then reassemble it. Doesn't that make sense? And now, because I didn't do that, I had to spend the night in the ER. I had to look kind of silly because I came in spattered with blood and just absolutely adamant that I had a big hole in my head. And all they found was a little slice. I felt really silly. But at least I went. I went to make sure that there wasn't a broken skull or a concussion or bleeding on my brain. So now I just have to feel a little bit silly, but also grateful that we have these resources that we can get treatment and get checked out. Anyway, I'm going to go make some contingency plans for things around my house and work area. For example, what are we going to do if someone does get kicked by a horse? Our horses are really good. They don't kick people, but what if they did? And here's something that's more worrisome, really. What if a branch falls up? We ought to be looking up into the trees before we go under the trees, as a matter of course, so that if a branch is broken, it's just hanging up there. We don't walk underneath when it just happens to fall loose. And we're aware that we need to get them down if they are up there so they don't fall on the horses either. All right. I appreciate you. Thank you for checking in with me. The only call to action today is please comment. I feel so lonely sometimes, and I'm like begging people for comments. I mean, you could say I look good. You could say you think it's a trend. Yeah. All right. Take care. Have a good evening. We'll see you next time about something else animal related. Take care.